AskReddit by I have a clip for a clique. College graduates at Reddit, what happened to that friend that never stopped partying? One's a doctor, one lives in a towable caravan. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground in this thread. Worked at a bar in college, and friends worked at other bars. So I knew a lot of people who drank a lot. Most went on to be in sales or some other job where interpersonal communication skills are more valued than raw academic skills. Some do very well. Yeah, it seems the nature of the party animal is very outgoing and social, and I also see a lot of these types of people in sales marketing. He drank with the right executives at a conference and got offered a job. He now makes 3 times what I do. I know someone this happened to as well. Our senior year, I think she drunk tweeted something and a company loved what she tweeted that they offered her a job. We graduated 11 years ago and she still works for them, although this kind of goes against the thread because she doesn't drink anywhere near as much anymore since she got married and started a family. He became a math professor, and when not teaching he travels and has backpacked all over the world. Goals. Ran into an old friend who was like that. We were in our late 30s when that happened and chatted. Turned out he partied hard until late 30s, and during that time, flitted around job to simply fund his partying. One day he looked around and noticed that he was the old guy at the bars hanging with early 20-somethings. Realized that all of the folks our age were ahead in their careers, with family, kids, etc. Said that was a pretty sobering revelation and enrolled himself back into school and was in his 2nd year of engineering as he wanted to be an aerospace engineer. Reminds me of a Chris Rock sketch. You don't want to be the old guy in the club. He isn't really old, just a little too old to be in the club. He partied with the right guys and now makes very good money in sales where he parties with clients but the company pays for it. If you're good with people, sales is a lucrative career. Partying with the right people goes a long way. Got hired on a trading floor at a big bank. And the extroversion and skills he picked up as a partier made him really popular with the rest of the madmen on the trading floor. Made 7 figures a year, for over a decade, while partying pretty much Thursday, Saturday. Retired at 40, has dated a string of unstable women, though, luckily hasn't knocked any of them up. Owns a condo, another condo he Airbnbs, and a cottage on a fancy lake. Spends most of his summers on the water and most of his winters skiing. Guy did really well for himself. Now that's a nice life to have. Retiring by the age of 40 is a dream. He never stopped. He continued drinking at a crazy pace, and lost his job, his driving license, and his wife. He had to move near to liquor store to keep drinking. He was found dead on the floor of his apartment from a hemorrhage in his stomach caused by years of alcohol abuse. He bled to death from within. He left behind 2 sons. I had to scroll way too far down to find something that was bad instead of a happily party ever after. Something tells me maybe the upvotes came from some personal biases. Edit, and here they are. For the record, I'm assuming the question is about people that never stop drinking heavily and not like people that are just extroverted and attend a lot of social events. For the people responding that seem put off, that dude in sales that drinks 5 nights a week with a great salary is not airing the personal demons he struggles with. You can't go hard for life without serious repercussions. Sorry. I lived in a house with a bunch of guys. One of them was in electrical engineering. He got a job at Applebee's for some extra cash and started having parties with work people after work, so 3 to 5 AM. That made it hard to make class, so he dropped a semester. We all graduated and he said he would refocus on school soon, but he was having too much fun partying. I went back to college 20 years later for a football game. He is still working as a waiter at Applebee's. He is the creepy guy who acts like he is best friends with a bunch of 20-year-old kids. He's a mess. How does one work at Applebee's for 20 years, as a waiter? A friend of mine in college pulled a Van Wilder and spent 7 total years in college just getting his undergrad because he liked the partying so much. He lived in the college dedicated party house that had just 2 modes, actively throwing a wild party or recovering from the latest party. What was wild about him was that even though he lived a party lifestyle, he got excellent grades and took phenomenal care of himself when he wasn't getting blackout wasted and having weird sexcapades, and was the person who got me into running marathoning. Eventually, he finally graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering, moved to the East Coast, got married and became a born-again Christian. He seems happy and successful and just had his first kid recently, but it's absolutely weird seeing him post pictures of him getting adult baptized and doing mission work when I once saw him rail cocaine off of a blow-up sex doll. You know, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. He failed and got fucked over by debts. He decided to do a commercial pilot license. Spent so much money on the training and the partying that his debts overtook him. Here, most airlines don't accept pilot candidates with outstanding debts or criminal records. He never got to fly a plane. He still owes a lot of people small to medium amounts of money. Accepted a menial job writing technical manuals. You need to be ultra dedicated to pass a commercial pilot's license, as there's a great many exams that also occur in bouts in quick succession, which happens multiple times throughout training. And not only are the exams difficult and require very committed and intense studying, as high percentages of correct answers to pass, but future employers can not only see how well you pass the exams, but also the amount of times that you failed and retook them too. And this sort of stuff is on your permanent record, forever. So achieving the license is not often enough. The industry is so competitive that after acquiring your license, to stand any reasonable chance of getting employed at all, you need to get strong passes and avoid failing any exams at all costs. TBH, it's pretty mad for someone to think that they can just go party all the time while training for this kind of stuff. That's an automatic recipe for nothing but failure and a big stack of debt to pay off with no reward at the end. On average it costs over $90,000 to train for a commercial pilot's license : he robbed a train with the Russian mob, and now appears on TV specials and podcasts. Does he take his shirt off a lot for no reason? He overdosed, blacked out and fell off a balcony at a hotel and hit the pavement so hard his mother couldn't recognize him. Vastly different from the top to comments. Librarian, I shit you not. And he's married and a fantastic father to his daughter. My wedding reception is coming up. He warned me that he plans to party so hard that we'll need to pull his body out of the bay. This sounds like the run-up to the movie Very Bad Things. Dude has an amazing career, wildly intelligent, has a great house in a warm area etc etc. Absolute drunk though. I think out of the last 6 times I've spoken to him he's been sober maybe once. His personal life is probably in some amount of shambles. That was me, and I'm sober 7 years now. Congrats. Works for an investment bank and was published in the FT recently. Unless their habits have changed. That article was started an hour and a half before deadline and they did several cheeky bumps throughout to keep them focused. As someone who works in journalism, it would be 50/50 if he ever knew it was happening. The article was probably written by a PR company. I was once working for a company and for over a year, every article attributed to me. I didn't write and every article I wrote was attributed to someone else. As for my answer, he went into journalism. I briefly dated someone who was a constant partier and our dating was brief simply because he was always drunk when he came to see me. I googled him out of mere curiosity to see if he was doing okay and found out he ran over a mom of 4 and killed her one night. He was drunk. Now he can party in prison. I graduated 15 years ago, and just saw someone I went to college with the other day. She served me at Dunkin' Donuts, and has no teeth. It made me sad for her. still parties like he's in college and looks terrible. Horribly overweight, alcoholic, nasty girlfriends that simply use him for his money and party favors. So, not much has changed for him, I guess. Now I want to party hard. Q and Drew WK. Deleted. Studied hard and partied hard. The first part is what most people miss don't do. As long as they do the former, all the more for them to do the latter. One is a doctor in his hometown. The other is a lawyer with multiple articles published. Checks out. My buddy in med school sent pics of every student receiving a handle after their first med school quiz. Doc's party. I am that person. Addiction, rock bottom, AA, sobriety, life. Just hit 150 days. The nights can get a bit boring, but the achievement relief of beating back that day's demon around the midway point of the evening when you realize you're not going to drink or use, not to mention that kick-ass morning feeling of starting each day fresh as a sober person, completely crushes the high. Good luck. A couple. Over 5 years they traded their house for cocaine. They broke up. He finally wised up in his early 30s. She was last known to still be a complete mess. Her whereabouts are unknown. She may be homeless. His trust fund still pays more than twice my salary per month, while he makes $200K at a large tech company with his communications degree that he got because his mom was friends with one of the board members. I hope he is a nice person at least. Otherwise, I hope he gets hemorrhoids. They are being paid for it now. Explain. I might have to change majors. I'm late to this thread and this probably won't be seen, but I want to disagree with some of the top voted answers. I interned for a Fortune 100 and converted to full hire, and worked with them for almost a decade. I know a lot of people who partied with the right people, and made absolute asses of themselves, threw up in a bush, and got fired the next day. Saw it happen during my internship as well as Christmas parties once full time. Works for some finance company making what I assume twice my income based on his house, car, and lifestyle. He partied and fucked off through college, but if he had one thing going for him, it was his ability to socialize and network, even in groups or topics he didn't know anything about. That's where I'll act. Even with my GPA and grades, I think he still would have outperformed me, position-wise, had I stayed in that field. Goes to show the importance of networking over actual qualifications. Advice I have given my son. Accept every invitation you possibly can. Turn up. Make sure you say hello to the host. Say hello to as many other people as you can. Even if you can stay only